Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by startnewcompany.com.au. Register your company fast, easy, and direct with ASIC. All documentation is provided and held in your account for downloading at any time. If you're an accountant or other professional, you're also able to brand all documents with your company name. Coming soon, ABN, TFN, and trusts. Special discount for ATH listeners. At the cart, use ATH20 for a $20 discount. And athwebhosting.com.au. Servers operate on SSD drives. Immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, and easy install of WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal. Welcome to episode 668 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on the 27th of February 2020. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and joining me again, this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate.
How's it going?
It is somewhat, mostly, kinda.
Do we call you Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or
I'll tell you.
Barry White with that voice?
It's okay, I bought back up.
Okay, and also joining us once again, Jordan. How's it going down there?
Yeah, good. Long time no podcast.
Yeah.
It's
Good
been
to have
a
you
while.
back again.
Yeah, back again. I don't know if it'll be every week, but when I can, I figure got to let off some tech steam.
Well,
I
people want
suppose
to hear
tonight.
somebody besides me and Mr. T, because that stuff gets boring.
No, I had a listen the other week. It sounds good.
Oh, thanks. We got
That's
a fan, Mr. T.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Very good. No, it's good. Glad to be
How
back.
have you been anyway?
Yeah, good. Just really busy with the music stuff at the moment. That's kind of keeping me even away from the podcast. So
You managed to escape the floods and the fires and stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I've got another show coming up in April up in Canberra, and I think we've got a drive up from Melbourne, so it'll be an interesting trip. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And Mr. T, all good up your way?
It's still thinks it's the middle of bloody summer. We're still hitting 42, 43 degree days and 95% humidity.
I got the AC on right now.
So do I got mine on too. Although we have both of our air conditioners. We've got one air conditioner here and one air conditioner in Bub's room, and they've both decided to not be air conditioners anymore. They're just glorified fans at the moment, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
I was looking at the screen. It looks like you're in the same room. That's confusing.
Yeah, we are.
Haven't you got the same air conditioner?
Yeah.
We're sharing. That's probably the problem. We're sharing the air conditioner.
There's not enough air conditioner in this town for both of us.
What's really trippy is when you do this and then you realise you're actually not in the same room.
Oh, my finger's disappearing. Poking holes in the air.
I decided to go back to my normal non-flashy USB cables because it was just driving me crazy. Mum loves hers though. She got one for her Kindle, and it's all red and it has red LEDs all through the cable, down and up and into the tablet, and she thinks it's fantastic. And she says everyone comes into my room at the nursing home and they just love this flashy little light thing, and I'm like, I hate it so much.
Yeah, they're. I've had a couple of problems with mine the last couple of days. Bub managed to, I don't know where it is somewhere, managed to actually pull the metal sleeve off the line a bit, and when you do that, the metal sleeve's magnetic. And then the actual liner bit gets stuck inside the phone because without the metal sleeve around it, there's nothing stopping the insert from going all the way in.
Yeah. And
then you got to try and figure out how to get it out. Now, I figured out that I can super glue it and it'll never come back out again. But yeah, it's like how does one get that? I
have to tell Jordan the trick of them. You get a cable. It's got a rare earth magnet on the end, and you get the plug that goes into the socket on your phone or whatever, and you leave that plug in your phone all the time, and then the lead is magnetic that charges it through the cable, and you just touch it on there. And
I saw one of them on eBay the other day. I was looking for a new charge cable, and then coincidentally I heard you guys talking about these ones that glow while you're driving down
don't get the glowing ones.
Charge.
Yeah, they cause problems.
That causes problems. I mean, everyone thinks you're the police chasing them with your flashing lights in your car.
They cause you problems in that you want to strangle somebody.
So what, did the little magnet thing get stuck in the end and you couldn't get it out?
Well, apparently they haven't heard of super glue in China.
Yeah, right.
So most of them are okay, but for whatever reason...
They've heard of the super flu.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, one of them just... because the chrome bit around the outside of the connector is the magnet, and on the inside it's just a little plastic insert like you'd find on a normal. I don't know if that will probably won't focus. But,
So it came off the magnet.
And so that's gone forever.
Yep.
Yeah, and so the magnet sheath, when we pulled the charger out, the magnet came out with the charger, but it left the insert in the phone. But the problem is when it's not held in with the backing plate of this,
You couldn't get a pair of pointing nose pliers or something.
Well,
and pull
it actually
out?
goes further in than it's supposed to because the actual plug on the phone is quite deep. And that's quite shallow, so it'll actually go a lot further in than it's supposed to go in.
Right. So was it just a cheap eBay job, or was it a good quality cable?
Well, they're really good quality. Like the cables are fantastic. Like they're reinforced and they're cotton covered, and like the cables are great.
Yeah.
And that's the only one I've had problems with. I bought probably a dozen of them, and that's the only one that's played up. So, you know, I can't complain for.
And if they
Get
don't
a
flash,
vacuum cleaner and suck it out.
I got it out, but it was just one of I just sort of wasn't expecting to have to do that.
No.
have you tried sucking harder?
I always suck really hard. It's part of my job description.
That's how you got on the show.
That's it.
Should we do some show? What do you reckon?
I reckon
What's
change the
that,
subject
yeah?
before you go down that path of, a dark,
It's
dingy
too
room
late. Our
with brick
viewers know
walls.
better than that.
That's our usual show.
A dark, dingy room with brick walls and
What you mean?
It's
Are
like-
you going to try and tell me you don't have one of them?
It looks like you guys are both in the same dark and dingy brick walls
That's
rooms.
where he does his singing all the time.
All the cigarette smoke. Although they're not filled with cigarette smoke anymore. Just
No.
vape smoke.
Yeah, great, huh?
All right.
You're a smoker.
No, hell no.
No,
Won't touch it.
Even if I wanted to be, I couldn't afford it these days.
no. I used to be many years ago, and I reckon a packet of smokes used to cost me about, $3-4
Yeah.
a packet of PJ30s back in the day when I was a kid. Not really allowed to smoke at that age anyway. But
Back when Dad was a
and then you look at
truckie.
them now; they're $50 a packet.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
when Dad was a
Crikey,
truckie,
why would you want to?
he had nothing else to do except smoke when you're driving trucks, and he used to do at least 2 packets of Horizon 50s a day.
Oh,
That'd be pushing $100 a day now.
Yeah.
It's just ludicrous. Anyway, enough about the government's trying to shaft us. Who's got what?
yeah. Here's the government's talking about putting, what do they call it? Cardless. They want to bring out the
Cashless society.
so that all the Centrelink people are on cards and they can't spend their money on cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah.
They can only use. I'm thinking, but how can they afford cigarettes and alcohol and that sort of money anyway?
Anyway,
It's easy. They
You know?
don't feed their kids.
you don't eat.
Don't
Don't pay rent.
Don't pay your rent. Gee, buy smokes.
You don't need to pay your rent. After you haven't paid rent for like 8 months, you legally become a squatter, so they can't kick you out anyway. Become squatters' rights and you own the property, so,
Well,
Alrighty. Who's
I'm not going to
what?
go down that path because I am a landlord, so I've got to take it easy.
Ah,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Apple is trying really, really hard to always come off as the good guys. According to Ryan Johnson, director of Knives Out, Apple won't let villains use iPhones on screen. Smartphones have become as ubiquitous in movies as they are in real life, but apparently there's still limits to how closely we can mirror reality. Apple is so obsessed with how the public conceptualizes its products, the company has taken steps to ensure none of the bad guys ever use its phones in movies. Meanwhile, anyone can go out and buy an iPhone. There's no doubt in my mind there are plenty of bad people that actually use Apple products. Apple has legions of loyal fans who are very unlikely to be swayed by a movie villain using an iPhone. But what are the limits to these rules? Can someone with questionable morals use an iPhone? Or are they reserved for those whose straight-laced nature never wavers? Does Apple need to approve every instance of an iPhone in every movie and television show? But it isn't surprising. Apple has always been ultra-sensitive to how its products are depicted on screen. Before the launch of Apple TV Plus, the company worried about how its products might be used in shows on the platform. Apple isn't going to slow its obsession with the image anytime soon. Its products are made for everyone, sure, but they're also a status symbol, and that status is reserved for only the best people. Villains can go grab a Microsoft phone or something.
Yeah, that's how it should work. The villains get the Microsoft phones and the good guys get the Androids.
I think they do go a bit far. They back in the day when it was like iPhone 3 and 4 and people made apps that looked like your phone was cracked.
Yeah.
It had a cracked screen, and Apple banned those from the store because they didn't want people even being slightly tricked to think that they might have a broken screen, even if it's running on an app.
Yeah, but they allow the Bling app.
Yeah, they bling it for
What
a
about-
while.
Yeah.
And what about when you see the news reports of when Apple was protecting people, or protecting people's phones from the FBI asking to see the content in the phone from some terrorist who's using it for a bad reason?
The irony in that statement is it was the other way around. After the FBI had access to the phone and had the documents off that they wanted, they then asked Apple for access to the phone so that way they could legally use the information.
Yeah, probably.
That's what it was. That's the reason they were doing it.
But even so, to say that bad people don't use Apple's phones, yet they're willing to say that we don't care who you are, we'll stop the FBI from looking in your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. No, but see,
So-
they don't. The difference is the FBI pays them a heap of money to do that, whereas the movies don't.
No.
Remember in the old days it used to be called product placement?
Yeah.
These days it's don't use our product and we'll sue you. It's like, hang on a minute.
What?
I remember
You want
watching
people to know?
all the new TV shows that came out when Microsoft Surfaces were just starting to come out, and the Windows phones and stuff, and they were on all the TV shows. And I used to
Everything.
sit there.
Oh,
I used to think to myself, "Geez, Microsoft must be paying a massive amount of money to
they
have."
they had to
their
zoom
devices
in
on
and
these
watch
shows.
somebody typing something, and then find the criminal's fingerprints, and then it face matched with somebody. They had to zoom right in to show you it was a Surface Pro or something. Like, yeah, people are going to buy this now. Yeah, no.
And then you see it where they got the fingerprint from was an Apple phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a battle out there, isn't it? These marketers, it's all marketing. Everything's marketing.
Well, do you remember Wayne's World? Like,
Yep.
well, what did you do?
Nothing.
You broke it.
You just turn the lights off in the dungeon for a minute.
That's it. Wayne's World, the into half of the movie is product placement. Like, that's just how it worked.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was.
Yeah, well, and they made they made it part of the
Part of it.
part of
the
the movie.
comedy.
They played up to it. I mean, this gives you an idea of what they're doing now to stop themselves, to cover themselves in from being in trouble by manufacturers these days, because there is no possible way you could tell that was an Apple laptop unless you were told and you had inside information. You'd never know.
That bar across it is like censoring someone's eyes when you see the rest of their face.
It completely changes the logo. You've no idea. It's like putting a hat on so the facial recognition software can't detect it anymore.
Oh, is that why that guy on the right's got his hat on now? His little
And a
beret?
moustache and glasses.
You wouldn't recognize him without those. It's actually those plastic ones that you buy down the shop. It's got glasses with a little mustache. And
It's all
beard
attached
that are
together.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Roger Marx, isn't it?
It's I just happened to notice that the other day. I was watching that episode, and it's Adam Savage, and it's 2013 now, so it goes back to a fair way. But they were talking to the space station and whatever. But like, you read the entire comment section, it's got nothing to do with how they live chatted to this guy in space. All the comments are like, "Gee, I wonder what that laptop is. Oh, I wonder what's being covered by that bit of."
Yeah, I wonder who had the technology to support that.
Oh, it's hilarious.
They should have gone Microsoft. You'd never know what it was. Okay.
What do you got, Jordan?
Oh, it's funny, isn't it? But then, I often think about it with the podcasts. I think there's so much crap on marketing. You don't know what you're reading is true and what to believe.
Same with
anything.
blogs.
And then we sit there and read stories about news articles that any man or his dog could have written and posted up. And you think, are we reading what's real or what's not?
It's the same. Like in the battery industry that I'm in, it's quite a common thing. Like so many for us who are in the industry, you read an article and by the second line, you can tell exactly that it's either a paid product or someone who's biased towards the product. But the problem is, for the average consumer, they believe what they read, and when you get 200 people paid to write the same thing, regardless if it's almost word for word, the end consumer will read those 200 reviews and go, "Oh, it must be a good product." It's not, and it really bugs me as someone who we're affected by it daily, and it's just so annoying that then you
It's
try
marketing
to
that
explain.
steers our society.
You try
But
to.
I read
explain
on
to
the internet this one is better than the other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and you try to explain that to a customer. You say, look, that's not a good battery. It's well marketed, but that doesn't make it a good product. That makes it expensive because they've got to pay for marketing.
Well, look at Apple,
product,
the way they market it and the amount of money they spend.
Yeah, and then you say, look, this is actually a better product. It's higher quality and it's cheaper. They go, no, I want the other one. You're like, well, fine, but don't come back to me when it fails because it will.
Just get an Oppo or Huawei or Xiaomi.
That's it, exactly. Exactly.
Any stories?
It makes us, society is kind of directed by marketing, isn't it? We believe almost everything the marketers tell us. We could believe that a politician is bad just through marketing.
Well, it's media manipulation. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever the TV says is true. That's what it comes down to, and people, it doesn't matter whether it's the radio, whether it's the TV, whether it's newspaper, it's all run by the same person, and that same person's got an agenda in all those areas. So it's going to be an article that their end goal is to push their agenda, so that's what it's going to do. But the problem is because they hear it on radio, they hear it on TV, and they read it in the newspaper, because they've been reaffirmed 3 times, that must be right.
It must be.
Despite the fact it was all written by the same person.
Yeah. Have you seen the articles you see now when you're reading? Sometimes it'll have a little slogan at the bottom that says, this is the opinion of this writer of this article. And
I do like the YouTube. What's one thing I have to say YouTube got right? If you're reviewing a product that you've purchased, that's fine. You don't have to say anything about it. If you're reviewing a product that was sent to you or it's a paid review, you must disclose that and you must say, look, this was sent to me for free, and then you say it's up to you then, if you're going to give your own opinion or if you're going to approach it like marketing and give the opinion of the thing, you must specify that. And I quite like that they've at least done that part right. So you can at least tell the difference between something that's an honest review and something that they're being paid to review.
Exactly.
Which is why I don't get anything for a review. I've had several companies offer me products for review. And I'm like, okay, I'll happily review it, but I'm reviewing it honestly, and then the end of it's going to be my opinion. If you don't like it, tough, because that's what's happening. And they don't send me the products. They just don't, because they don't want that. They want somebody who's going to review it the way they want it reviewed.
And there's a lot of reviewers out there that want free products.
I mean, I want free products too, don't get me wrong. But
we had the same thing when I worked for a computer sales company. And we'd advertise in the computer magazines in Australia. And there was 1 month when we decided to save a bit of money and not advertise, suddenly all of our products were rated 2 and 3. But the next month we started our advertising again. Suddenly 4 and 5 out of 5. Best products, buy them now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not money driven at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Have you got something, John?
Well, maybe a couple of quick stories I snagged before we went on. I'm not going to read the whole articles though, but just kind of the headline. SpaceX approved to build a Starship factory and research hub in LA. SpaceX has been given the final go-ahead to build a Starship manufacturing plant in the port of Los Angeles. Authorities granted the company a permit for the factory by an anonymous 12-0 vote, allowing Elon Musk and his team to push on with the development of technology designed to take humans to the moon and Mars.
That's wow, an anonymous 12-0 vote. That's pretty cool. Like literally everybody sitting on that board goes, yes, we need to have a Starship base in our town.
We do.
Well, we got the Space Force there to protect them. So
yeah, I mean, it's a permit contract option to expand the site from 12.5 acres to 19 acres. It's originally was going to do it in Texas, but they decided to move to LA to bring it closer to their headquarters, SpaceX headquarters. It's crazy that here 2020. Yeah.
How did you bring up that article so quickly? Did you already have it?
No.
He's got mad Google skills.
I've been doing it long enough to know what to Google.
And
that's pretty much the same article I just read. And you've already got it. I didn't even tell you I had it.
If you scroll up that page a bit slower, you can watch it take off.
Yeah,
There
we go.
What else you
But
got,
I
man?
think that's fantastic. Like, I always sit here and think to myself, I'm too old for it. Well, I'm not old, but I will be too old by the time, space travel becomes reality.
Yeah.
But I just reckon it's fantastic. The sooner we get there, the better.
It's interesting on some of their. I'm seeing if I can quickly find it. Saw today. There's some CGI photos of what they reckon the factory's going to look like, and it's, if you can imagine like a normal car production line from whenever, just watching these bits of cars get slowly assembled as it goes down. Well, it's like that, but it's about 25 stories high. Like, everything's just so much bigger. Like, there's this guy walking along the aisle, and he's like this big, and there's this bloody robot crane welding, and there's like sparks like the size of people's heads falling down off the side of this tower. And it looks something out of so sci-fi. Like, it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not it ever eventuates at this point, I don't care. I just want to see a production line with rocket ships. Like,
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I can't wait for it. I just want to see someone go. Before I go, I want to see someone go.
Yeah, I mean,
Go exploring and do something.
it's
Elon.
The Star Trek in me.
well, there's enough private backers who want to pay enough money to make it happen these days. So, no reason why it shouldn't.
Well, if they can get the technology to beam us up there, I could probably go. Otherwise, they won't let me go. I'll be too old to take the launch, won't I?
What is it?
If they could beam me up there to
well, not really,
the
not
same
necessarily.
atmosphere with the same gravity and everything, we could go. That'd be
'Cause
right.
You might fly to Mars, you just won't come back.
Well,
No,
actually,
probably not.
It'll be cryo anyway, so you'd be in stasis for the duration of the flight.
But don't they say the hardest thing is the
Reanimation.
exiting the atmosphere?
Actually,
And returning?
It's Orion's belt. The radiation belt is the hard part.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Getting out of the atmosphere isn't too bad. I mean, the International Space Station's up there. Yeah, that's not that difficult. Once you go a bit further up, going through Orion's belt is the big radiation belt is the tricky part. And they're not hitting all the remnants of satellites that's floating around our atmosphere at the moment.
And all the other garbage that's
that?
there as well.
Have you seen
much.
the debris tracker?
Pretty crazy.
You can track the debris in the sky and also in the oceans.
Yeah, like real time, like instant. Like, they know exactly where every single piece of debris is in the sky. Like, it's just absolutely insane.
But you can't blame me for the debris up in space. You might blame me for a bottle or two in the ocean, but you can't blame me for that. That's government, not us.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Telling me that my rubbish thrown out the window of the car goes up there.
Like, it's insane. Like, they track every single bit of space dust.
It makes you wonder where the hell it comes from, how they get it,
Well, it's all from well, a lot of it's natural rock particles and stuff from asteroids and stuff like that. But a lot of it is man-made, like all the satellites, all the re-entries, all the debris that's broken off, or everything like that as well. So a lot of it is natural materials, but a lot of it is man-made. It's ridiculous.
I would have thought it would just all be government, ships coming and going kind of thing, rockets breaking up and
well, that is
whatever.
part of it. But given the fact that it only
Satellites
takes at the speed that they're traveling, it only takes something the size of a grain of sand to penetrate a windscreen. Like, they've got to know where every single piece of debris is at all times.
They've got to navigate around it.
Yeah, and that's only going to get harder and harder the more stuff that ends up there. So
They need one of those space vacuums like on Spaceballs.
the giant lady there. I love that bit. That's awesome.
Did you see the article on the news? I read something about there's a vacuum, one of those vacuum cleaners, the robot vacuum cleaners that go around your house.
Yeah.
And the hackers can see through the camera on the vacuum.
Yeah,
all right.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So someone's hacked a vacuum.
It's not surprising.
That's a cracker if it is. Like, imagine seeing the things you'd see on a vacuum cleaner that runs around the house,
Instead of sucking up the ozone layer, suck up all the space debris.
But yeah, no, I know that.
Look at that.
I know that one of the guys did one of the guys I was watching, he's got one of the robot lawnmowers.
Yep.
And he's hacked that so that he can see wherever it's from. He can be anywhere in the world and he can monitor it and control it and change it. And yeah, if it runs into something, gets stuck, he can
mow the lawn while you're in
recontrol it.
Greece.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty
Put
cool.
a little speaker on there so the neighbours walking past. Hi, Bill. How you doing? What?
Well, it does.
The hell is it?
It does. It's got a, and this is by default. Like he hasn't. All he did was he hacked into the interface part of it. The actual mower itself already had microphone. It had speakers. It had cameras. It had all this stuff. Infrared. It had sonar. It had all this stuff built in. GPS location. He just accessed the interface so that he can use it. And it's really cool. Like he's like, why didn't they release the mower like this in the first place? So that
make it open source.
I don't have the capability's there. This mower already does it. Why lock it down?
Be easy to get your kids to mow the lawns for you, wouldn't it? They wouldn't have to physically do it. Yeah, Dad, I'll do it on my phone in the break between games.
Imagine wearing a pair
I'll
of
do it after the next YouTube video.
Wear some VR goggles and you're just sort of sitting there with
and an Xbox joystick.
The kids would love it. They'd actually really get to mow the lawn and feel like they're playing a game.
I know when I was a kid, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I was right into that movie. Yeah. And me and my neighbour actually made a radio control mower. It didn't have we didn't have the motor and the cutting blade on it, but we made an old mower. We turned it into radio control so we could actually drive this mower around the yard. It was never powerful enough to actually mow, like because we're using old motors out of old cheap radio control cars and stuff. But we had the basis of this thing. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Now you take Jordan's idea, right? And then you have come up on the screen up every 2 meters or so that they mow, $1 goes up onto the top of the screen.
Yeah.
So you just earned $1 for your pocket money. Ding, ding,
Ding.
and they'd be like, yes. But you'd have to monitor the length of the grass because they'll just go back and forward in the same.
And if they run over the
ages.
cat, they get an extra $10. It's like, yeah.
Bonus.
Next thing you know, they're chasing the poster down the footpath.
Hey, there's a park next door. Let's just take it over there and we'll do the whole park. $50. Excellent.
Be great.
Thanks, Dad.
What was that? What was that game? It'd be like that Pokemon. That's what it'd be
Oh,
like,
Pokemon
wouldn't
Go.
it?
Yeah.
Pokemon Mo.
There we go. You need to copyright and trademark that, son.
Pokemon Mo.
Yeah. Pokemon Mo, wasn't that what happened in the Three Stooges all the time? Mo got poked.
It wasn't the Mo they were poking in.
That's actually a really depressing story if you actually read their biography. It's actually very upsetting. People would walk up to him in public and just jag him in the eyes because they thought it was funny.
You know, he's not actually injuring any other people.
Well, not usually. They did get it wrong sometimes, but
Yeah, but not on purpose.
not on purpose. But yeah, no, people would walk up to him and slap him on the back of the head and poke him in the eyes and all sorts of stuff. So that's why they stopped. They literally stopped touring because of that. They couldn't go anywhere without people hurting them.
Punch him back.
Yeah, well,
Damn paparazzi.
Telstra, because we all love a good Telstra story.
Telstra.
Oh, that was one of the things I was looking at this week, a story about. You know, I'm like, I wish I was on the show to talk about this.
Well,
you
You've
are.
got some great Telstra story. As soon as you
You
mention the
are
word
and you can.
Telstra, everyone goes, "Oh, Telstra! What do you got?"
Slower internet.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So,
It's too fast. This 100 megabits is too damn fast.
so basically, Telstra gives up on high-speed promise for NBN, FTT, FTTB, and FTTC customers.
So
That's
Japan,
what it was that I read the other week. That's the one.
Japan is doing 10 gigabits per second to your house for $55 a month right now.
Yeah.
10 what?
10 gigabits per second.
Whew.
I'm doing 100 megabits. This is gigabit, 10 gigabits to your house for $55 a month, unlimited.
Unlimited, yeah. Not
It's
just
like in the old days with
China's
our
doing it.
mobile phones. You know, we'd get a gig from Telstra, and if you went over it, it'd cost you $100.
Yep.
You know,
I
Our
remember
first cable
I used to
internet
have-
was Telstra, and it had 3 gigs, and people complained, and they actually made merchandise that said, I signed up to Telstra cable and all I got was this 3 gig cap, and then you had a cap that you wear that had it written on.
I remember I had you're having lighting issues there, are you?
I remember
My
the
lamp
500.
just died.
Oh no.
I remember the
Everything's
500
broken
meg
today.
dial-up. Oh,
Yeah, good old dial-up. I remember
500 meg dial up. I used to think that was amazing. 500 meg for the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
thing
could
about
download 10
dial-up,
pictures.
you'd pay, $50, $60 or whatever it was a month you're paying for the dial-up. But then the other problem was that people didn't realise you're paying for the phone calls because that was before free local unlimited calls. So you're paying 25 cents every time you dialed your dial-up. So if you connected 10 times a day, you're paying $2.50 a day just to connect to your $50 plan that you've just paid for.
Double whammy.
I remember when text messages I used to get, I think on my first phone, I think I got 10 free text messages a month. Yep. And then it was like 25 cents each or something after that. It didn't take long at all before you racked up, a $500 phone bill just by sending text messages. I think I worked it out once that it was at that price. I can't remember what the maths was now, but a text message, it worked out to something like $1,200 a megabyte or something like that for the data. It was something absolutely stupid because the text message was like three kilobytes or something for a text message, and you're paying 25 cents a message or something, and it was like $1,200 a meg. It worked out to for data.
Crazy, isn't
it?
So they're going to cut our. I think I read the story as well. Are they going to cut the 100 meg off for standard basic users?
So National NBN with their high quality products that they love, they've been criticised for delivering high quality. Been criticised for delivering high quality internet to some and poor quality to others. Well, I don't know who the some are, but okay. The multi-technology mix has been responsible for appalling connection speeds, dropouts, and general customer dissatisfaction to the point that Australian Consumer Watchdog has been going after the providers that sign customers up to the fast 100 meg plans. In light of this, Telstra has made a decision to cease the sale of high-speed NBN connections to those customers. Fibre to the node, fibre to FTTB, fibre to the
basement.
But that's what I was thinking.
It is.
Basement.
To the basement.
Because FTTB says fibre to the curb.
Apartment buildings.
Yeah, that's right, for apartments, yeah. This means that the fastest 100 meg and above plans will be restricted to customers on FTTP, fibre to the premises, and HFC, which is hybrid fibre coax connections. Everyone else will be stuck with a maximum 50 meg plans for Telstra, despite the fact that many FTTB and virtually all FTTC connections are capable of speeds well in excess of this. We've made a decision to only offer premium speed NBN 100 on FTTP and HFC for the time being, said Telstra spokesman. The reason for this is because a number of customers do not have connections that are capable of achieving 100 meg speed. In some respects, the decision is unsurprising. Latest ACCC says the majority of underperforming services were FTTN. Telstra wouldn't know what a customer's line is capable of until after they sign up to Telstra. Like other NBN providers, they can access line diagnostics for their customers, allowing them to determine what speeds can actually deliver. So here's an idea. Hook your customer up with a free connection, do a line speed test, and then go, hey, this is the plan you can have.
Yep.
I had Telstra ring me once and say, because I pay for the 100 meg, and I had them ring and say, we don't think you should pay the 100 meg plan, and you should be paying for the 50 meg plan because you won't get 100 meg. And I'm like, that's fine, but I get 80.
Yeah.
Can you beat that on the 50?
So am I supposed to drop back to 50?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's actually I'm with Aussie Broadband, and that's what they do. They go, okay, we'll put you on the 100 meg plan. It's a 30-day cool off, so once you're connected, we'll run some speed tests, see what you're getting, and then we'll adjust your plan accordingly.
That's
if anything, I think they should just give you a discount if you can't. Maybe they should have a 75 meg plan.
Well, that's what Aussie Broadband do. So if they've signed you up to 100 meg and you're only getting 80, well, they'll just make it an 80 meg plan. They don't care. They just proportionally
deduct it. Yeah, deduct whatever the discrepancy is off it.
What they do in my case is they've kept it as a 100 meg plan because they're actually doing exchange works and they think at some point the speed will get better. So they've actually left it as a 100 meg plan, but currently, because I'm only getting 65 meg or whatever it is, they're just taking the payment. They're taking 2/3 of the payment that they'd normally take.
Yeah. So with me, I'm taking the full 100 meg payment. I'm only getting 80.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they expect me to drop to 50 and lose 30 meg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that's not cool. at all. I want me 30 meg.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
the difference between 80 and 100 isn't really that much.
No.
The difference,
And most of the time you barely hit it anyway.
No.
You might get 78, 79.
yeah, that's what I mean. The difference between 80 and 100, okay, it's negligible. It's not that big deal.
And
The difference between 50 and 80 is a huge amount.
That's exactly. Yeah, it's massive. It's noticeable. And if you were capable of getting 100, it's probably more likely you'll only ever get 95, 96, 97. You won't get the you won't get the full 100.
2 o'clock in the morning you might, and that's the one thing I like about Aussie Broadband. They take their speed test at the busiest time. So that's the absolute worst speed you're going to get. You're generally always going to get better speed than that, but you're paying for the lowest speed you're going to receive.
Maybe Telstra just want to guarantee the 50. They want to know that if they put you on 50, you'll get 50.
No, Telstra just want to make people pay for. All they're going to do, they're going to make the 50 meg plan the top tier, but they're still going to charge the same price.
Yeah, they'll probably charge you what you charge for 100 tier.
Yeah, they're not going to change that. They're just going to change the plan speed so they don't get in trouble. Because remember, this was a thing when cable came out. Oh, you're going to get 100 meg speed and stuff with cable, and then they'd sell everybody in the street a cable plan. And suddenly the cable was getting filled up and they weren't delivering that. Well, it's the same thing all over again with the NBN. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But it's the whole NBN debacle is such a bloody...
What do you do with a 10 gigabit plan anyway?
Well,
is it gigabit? No, what did you say it was?
Anything you want. Yeah, 10 gigabit.
Well...
10 gigabit, gee whiz.
In Japan, yes, because you're in an area where you're connected with multiple sources to multiple countries. So if you're going away from Japan, you can stream, you're getting a decent connection outside of Japan. In Australia, because we're the one cable we have that is mostly active is so overworked anyway, once you leave Australia, you're so speed critically limited anyway that it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, what if you live in Japan, but you take a holiday in Australia? And you're accessing your computer at home, you're like, oh.
Then you cry.
Yeah, pretty much.
What was the point of that?
Yeah.
So,
you can only give it to you as fast as you can take it.
Well, that's the thing with the... That's the thing with...
That was meant to come out completely different.
Stop talking now.
You're the one in the dark and dingy brick wall, dark dungeon room, not me.
It's only him now.
Yeah.
He's on his own again.
He doesn't even have lights on anymore.
The lights are on, but there's nobody home.
Steam is a classic example of that. With the Steam Play thing, where theoretically I can have Steam running on my computer, and I can access my phone or any other computer. I can access the Steam network and play the games that I've got installed on my computer, which is a great theory, except it doesn't work in reality because the internet connection's not fast enough to load the game before the game times out. So you can't do it in reality. If I'm on my local network, I can access it from another computer and it works fine. But as soon as I have to involve the internet,
well, I mean, you look at PlayStation. Was it PlayStation 5? I don't know if they're doing it. The PlayStation and a few of those other consoles are talking about having their games all online in the cloud.
Yep.
No more discs, no more storing the games on the device or anything. It's all in the cloud.
What they'll store the game on the device.
But you'll need fast internet for that.
What they'll do is they'll basically make it so that like the executable file's stored online. I don't think even if you've got a fast internet connection, the average home router and home network can't handle huge constant data throughput. It's just not designed for that.
No.
So I think even if they're talking about storing the games on the cloud, that might be the case, but when you install a game, it would still install it locally. It may run the executable portion off the cloud, but I can't see them trying to say...
80 gigabytes of assets to download.
Yeah, but I can't see that...
Turn it on.
Yeah, even if you had a super fast internet connection...
So you need fast... Yeah, we need fast internet just to get that 80 gigabyte initially.
But you wouldn't on an average home connection because if I'm... So even here, like I'm streaming at the moment and it's okay, but if I try and do this during the day when Son's watching YouTube or watching something out in the lounge room, and then Bub's on his tablet watching, YouTube Kids, and I don't have the bandwidth. It's not the internet's fault. It's my, my home router and
network.
A switch
home network,
can't work fast enough to support all that data throughput, and that's exactly the same problem that happens with anything that's stored on the cloud. Like you can't run a 100 gig file off a server. Technically you can, but practically you can't.
Yeah.
You can.
No, can the server really upload it that fast, and can you download it that fast? You know.
One person, yes, but now suddenly you've got 20 million people trying to play that game.
Yeah, and you're cutting it in half.
You know, it just doesn't work like that. So
certainly, it's certainly a great idea for PlayStation and all those places. Certainly stops piracy and all that, doesn't it? When everything's in the cloud.
no, because the people just buy PCs and that solves that problem.
But I mean, you even looking at Microsoft and all them doing their Office 365 online. You know, it's you can't pirate what's in the cloud.
Office 365 Online is the worst piece of crap software ever invented. It's nothing but trouble. It's buggy.
But as an example, it's online in the cloud.
It's useless. The problem is, okay, it worked, but it worked so poorly that nobody uses it anymore. Everybody's gone to OpenOffice or one of the other equivalents.
Why? Because it's on the computer and not in the cloud.
Because OpenOffice is so badly executed that people prefer to use Google Docs than OpenOffice.
I use Google Docs.
See, I can't stand Google Docs.
I love it. I use it all the time. We have our boss bought a 10-person license for Office 365 because he wanted everybody to use it. So he loves Mac, so his stuff's all Mac and the work stuff's all Mac, and then I've got my PC and the admin's got theirs. The only two people that use it, the only two people that use it, I use it because I have to use Publisher to make some of the stuff we use, and admin uses it because a lot of the emails we receive are in docx format. That's literally the only people. He doesn't even use it, and he's the one who wanted it. So, I think he's gone to OpenWriter or something. None of us use it, and he's paying yearly to have this thing that nobody uses. And I said, why?
It's free anyway for basic use if you want to use it online.
Yeah, but to actually have it as a usable software, it's not really.
But using all the other features, for your business, you got to pay for it.
But he paid for it. He forked out the whatever stupid amount of money it was and installed it for a week and hated it and never used it since. So it's like. But
again, it's still the most popular, though, isn't it?
No, but the reason that they say that is because you can't track who's not using it. If it's an online Office thing, they can track exactly how many people are using it. But because OpenOffice and LibreOffice and all these other ones don't track their users.
But in comparison to Google Docs and Office 365, which do you reckon is the most common?
Oh, Google Docs, by far.
You reckon?
Yeah, hell yeah. Because you can do it from within Gmail. You don't need to open another third-party program. You can do everything.
You can do that with Office as well.
Yeah, but you don't.
You can open up your Hotmail and use Word and Excel and everything all within the same way online.
Yeah, but no one does.
But they can. If you open up your Hotmail, it's right there.
What you can do and what you do are two entirely different things.
I remember telling Glenn about it. He didn't even know, and now he swears by it. He loves it.
I remember looking up. It's the same argument with what was it? Something else that was. Oh, when
I think it's what people are used to. I think
Yeah, same thing when an accounting package. I can't think of what it was. It might have been QuickBooks or MIB. One of those. There was a race onto who was using MIB more than QuickBooks and whatever, and then they both went online, and everyone stopped using them, and they're using decent third-party ones now that actually work.
So I've looked at the OpenOffice and LibreOffice and all that, and I can't really see the attraction.
It's the same as GIMP versus Photoshop. If you look at the statistics on GIMP versus Photoshop, in the consumer realm, GIMP wins because it's free and it's not $1,000 a year like Photoshop is. And now, as of the last 2 or 3 years, in the professional realm, GIMP wins out because all the professionals are switching over to it because it's more powerful, more versatile, lighter weight, and faster than
and
Photoshop.
Not cloud-based.
Yeah. All the professionals.
Whereas when it wasn't cloud-based, half of them would get a pirate copy of it.
Yeah, well, not so much that.
That was half the reason they used it,
probably. It was so much faster and more responsive and more reliable as well. Now that it's cloud-based, it's not.
And they can't, as I said, they can't pirate it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not really.
They can't download their cracked copy and use it like they would.
I mean, that's true, and I still have a cracked copy of the last Photoshop, but I don't use it. I use GIMP. There is that percentage of people, but it's a real minority of people who would use the cracked software, and we're talking a single-digit percentage, so it's not really enough to affect the figures anyway. But as soon as something goes online, you lose the functionality,
Unless you've got 10 gigabit internet.
Yeah, well.
It can run fluently. Yeah.
Well, that's assuming you can get it into your, depends on where the documents are stored anyway.
But I must admit, I've tried the free one of the Office one, and I kind of have myself considered, not even next time when I'm rebuilding my computer, not even bothering to install Office or anything. I've almost slowly switching most of my email over to Thunderbird.
Yeah, I've always used Thunderbird. Love it.
Because I'm finding every time I open it, I'm falling more in love with it. It's not as pretty as Outlook, but
it can be because you can
be with theming and stuff. Yeah. And I figure if I can get myself on the Thunderbird, I won't even need Office because I don't even really use Office for much. I'd probably use the basic Word document to write a very quick document here and there, but that's it. I don't use it to its full potential with business or anything. So.
No, and that's it. Like it's very this is the weird part about it. Thunderbird obviously is Mozilla, which is Firefox, and they're both free and really good software. Then you got OpenOffice or LibreOffice or any number of different versions of that, which are far more powerful and more versatile and free. And then you've also got like equivalents of Photoshop. You got equivalents of, I can't think of the name, I can't think of the name of it, but there's free versions of all this software now. And as I said, GIMP's a classic example where they're becoming so much more prolific than the paid version because they're open source. And some people do pay for them. I don't know, occasionally, once a year or once every couple of years when I can, I'll chuck them $10 because I use it all the time.
Just have a look at OBS.
Yeah, well, OBS is a classic example of that, which is what we're using
Brilliant.
for streaming now. You've got Wirecast and you've got wow, I can't think what the other one's called now. But you've got a lot of these paid ones that, they were the best thing you could use. They were top of the range. They did everything you wanted them to do, and so they charged a premium for it. But now things with like OBS, for example, is free, and then it's got an add-on called Streamlabs, which is designed for gamers, and it does everything. Like, it manages so much stuff. And there's hundreds and thousands of plugins and scripts and all this stuff, overlays, all this stuff you can do with it, and it's free. And because it's free, it's But
it's not just free; it's open source.
It's open
not
source.
Shareware; it's full free.
Yeah, and the thing
no
is,
ads, nothing.
But because of that, it's making money. Like, it's making the developers money because people are paying to put ads on their website, and people donate, and people will buy you can buy a copy of OBS if you want. It's like, $49 or something forever, a license, but it's free, but you can...
If you want to donate.
You can donate to it, and, and people do because they love that side of it. When you lock something down and make it not user-friendly and not versatile,
That's what I'm trying to do with DW service. It's not a great platform, but it's getting there. It's open source.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it? The remote desktoping?
I have heard of it. I don't know. I haven't really done much about it, but
it's just when TeamViewer just started, flogging everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody started looking for other options, didn't they? Pretty much, and that was the one I came up with, which was DW Service, which is a web-based remote desktop.
Yeah.
And
it's
compatible with Linux and Mac and all of the above, so that's why I liked it.
That's like the even Chrome now has a built-in remote access.
It does.
The remote desktop,
but it lacks some features, doesn't it? It lacks some.
Oh yeah, it's restricted.
It is what it is,
But it's free.
I think
and
one
fast.
of them was transferring files between them or something. You couldn't do it or something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Even in amongst the paid ones, some things you could do some stuff, and other things you couldn't do other things. So just because you're paying for the service doesn't necessarily mean it was any better. Like, I remember back in the day using I can't remember which one of them was. It was one of the paid. It might have been. Was it TeamViewer at was first, or was it? No, it was Norton. It was a Norton product, Norton Remote View or something. Back in the day, we used to use for the business, and you couldn't even do something simple like I couldn't print. So, if I'd done a Word document up, for example, I couldn't print that to my printer. So if I'd logged onto the work computer and done some work, I could print it to the work computer, or I could back then go to the trouble of figuring out how to get it to myself because you couldn't email anything bigger than a couple of meg. Yeah, but I couldn't print it to my local printer, and you're paying, however much a month it was for this software that you couldn't even do something as simple like that with. And yet, these free ones give you a lot of options. So
yeah, some good free stuff. I'll have to look into Libra and OpenOffice a bit more, give them a bit more of a benefit of the doubt. But like I said, I don't really use much of it. I only use basics. So.
Well, and that's the thing with, as I was saying, with Google Docs, like for the amount of stuff I do, I'm usually in my Gmail and I'm usually there anyway, so it's just easy to do what I need to do. I don't do a lot of stuff like I used to do,
No.
And Google Docs does 90% of what I want it to do now, but an OpenOffice does the rest. It's like Foxit PDF Viewer. The free viewer is very, very powerful in what you can do, and if you want a bit more power, you can spend $10 and buy the Pro version.
But most browsers support PDF now anyway.
Yeah,
even Edge supports PDF.
We still get these stupid. Some of these companies have love their personally formatted PDF.
Speaking of Edge, they just released their Chromium-based browser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Because I'm a bit of an Edge fan, but I don't know.
So you're that guy.
I'm a bit of a Microsoft fan. That's probably me just being loyal. But I like the sound of their Chromium one.
It's
as long as I don't have to go through the plug-in changes for the next 12 months.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's going to be part of it, isn't it?
It's inevitable, isn't it? My last pass will probably give up working for a while.
All your bookmarks will stop working, and
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't use it. I don't know. The only thing I use it for is to install Chrome. Yeah, I literally don't use it.
See, I find Chrome of late really sluggish and slow, just like Edge and that used to be. Every time I open up Chrome,
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I've had been known myself there, Jace, to open up Firefox and give it a crack because I find it faster.
Yeah.
I find Chrome to be really slow just lately. I don't know what it is.
I use all three browsers. I use Opera, Firefox, and Chrome fairly interchangeably, and mainly because I've got different profiles for different accounts in different browsers. Realistically, once you start opening multiple tabs, I don't really find that much big difference between all. I actually find Firefox is the worst for a browser that you have a tab open and then come away from it and come back to it later. It's really bad on a page refresh on an inactive tab. Chrome and Opera seem to do a fairly good job of, if you've got tabs sitting there and you haven't been to one for ages, you click on it, it seems to update very quickly. Firefox, I've noticed, really like on that active tab reload seems to really struggle, and it can take a long time to reload that tab. I've noticed, but yeah, I mean, realistically, a browser's a browser. The main reason I use the three browsers is I have three separate accounts, and it's the easiest way of managing multiple accounts without having to do silly buggers with different logins and stuff on single browsers.
Interesting.
I just wish somebody would make a browser that you could have the same browser but have multiple profiles on that same browser, so that you can have 3 different YouTube channels open or 3 different Gmails open on a different account.
3 separate accounts, yeah.
That you haven't got to have 3 different browsers to do that.
Yeah. I find myself doing that all the time. That's why I've got 3 browsers. It's half the reason. It's why I've got 3. It is why I've got 3.
That's right.
Because you're always looking for that extra browser for another account.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, it sounds enticing. I saw in the news again on Firefox, while we're on the topic, that they've pissed everyone off because they're bringing the encryption out by default now on their browsing in Firefox.
That sounds like my next story.
Well, go for it, Jace. That might be a good segue to stop me and Jace crapping on too much.
Thanks for that. Mozilla will bring its new DNS over HTTPS security feature to all Firefox users in the US by default in the coming weeks, they've confirmed. It follows a year-long effort to test a new security feature which aims to make browsing the web more secure and private. Whether you visit a website, even if it is HTTPS enabled, the DNS query that converts the web address into an IP address that computers can read is usually unencrypted. DNS over HTTPS or DOH encrypts the request so it can't be intercepted or hijacked in order to send a user to a malicious site. These unencrypted DNS queries can also be used to snoop on which websites a user visits. DOH works in the app level and is baked into Firefox. The feature relies on sending DNS queries to third-party providers such as Cloudflare and NextDNS, both of which will have their DOH offering baked into Firefox and will process DOH queries. But the move is not without controversy. Last year, an internet industry group branded Mozilla an internet villain for pressing ahead with the security feature. We don't want people being secure. That's what the trade group claimed it would make it harder to spot terrorist materials and child abuse imagery, which is always their fallback default whinge about anything that improves things for other people. But even some in the security community are split amid warnings it could make incident response and malware detection more difficult. They moved to enable DOH by default, will no doubt face resistance, but browser makers have argued it's not a technology that browser makers have shied away from. Firefox became the first browser to implement DOH, with others like Chrome, Edge, and Opera quickly following suit. Firefox said users outside the US can also enable DOH, just as users inside the US can choose to disable it. Mozilla has also said it plans to expand on other DOH providers and regions. So if you want the government to spy on you, just disable it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, because that's
Won't somebody please
Kinda
speak of
reminds
the
me-
children?
It kind of reminds me of that other browser that all the hackers and crims use. What's the other one? What? Yeah, that's it. But is Tor encrypted?
Yeah. It's encrypted through several computers all around the world.
So do you think that'll encourage Firefox to go down the same path if they've got encryption? Do you think that everyone will start using it for illegal reasons?
Well, they can use any other methods they want now. I don't think people would not use Edge at the moment for illegal reasons.
It's is it Russia or somewhere where they've made it illegal to use a VPN?
Yeah.
My question is, how do they know that you're using a VPN? And how do they know it's you that's using a VPN?
Packet analysis.
That's kind of a good point, isn't it? Yeah, well.
You can't use that. I mean, you probably
well,
can
Microsoft
but
knows
we
if
don't
you're
know
using a VPN, don't they? Because they won't let you play Minecraft.
Yeah, but they don't know that it's you that's doing it. They just know that somebody's doing it.
They just know someone's using it.
You know, it's the same. Like they're going to know that somebody's using a VPN, but they're not going to know it's you that's using the VPN.
No.
Unless you're the only one in the house.
Unless you're the only active node on that server, but
can they tell whose VPN?
No. The other thing,
for example, if it was a company VPN that you bought, can they tell who owns the VPN?
No. The only thing they could do is monitor the traffic and say, well, all this traffic's encrypted versus all this traffic's not, and that traffic belongs to this IP. They can narrow it down to an IP, but that's about as close.
So they couldn't say, oh, that's PIA's network and that's Nord's network and that's
No. It depends if they're sharing data centers or not, but most of the IP addresses are spoofed anyway, so they're not a legitimate IP address anyway. So it's kind of, I guess. I mean, Nord's data center did get hacked, but the hacker has the ability to do absolutely nothing because all the data's encrypted at both ends. So, and I doubt that at the time the hacker hacked it, they would have even known it was a VPN database until they went to look at the information and go, oh, hang on, I can't do anything here.
So Firefox is encrypting. Does that mean that people are going to start using Firefox to go and jump on their torrent sites and things like that, or do you think that it's not going to protect them?
Well, Opera's been doing it for years. Opera's had free VPN for a couple of years. So
and people would use that.
I do. As an in-browser one. Yes.
Like torrents and stuff?
You got to remember, though, it's only an in-browser VPN. So it only works whilst you're in the browser. So it's, for example, you could look up torrents and you could download the magnet links and the torrent links. But as soon as you go to use a torrent client, unless you have a third-party VPN,
like uTorrent or something.
So if in my case, my NAS has got NordVPN on it, so that all the data going to and from the NAS is running through a VPN on the internet side of it.
See, people probably don't even realise that once you're out of your browser, it's back to using your normal IP,
that's
address.
Right. So and so that's why you still need a third-party VPN. And even if you are using an Onion browser and Tor client and Onion browser, which is its own level of encryption, that only applies to that browsing session. So you still want, if you download a file, that's not applicable. So you still want to be doing, or like the file is, but if you access that file. So you still want to have your own third-party VPN as well as that, so that you're getting, in the browser, you'll be getting double encryption, but outside of the browser, the data's still encrypted.
So what you're saying is it's not particularly that Firefox would encourage bad people to do stuff because they'll just use a VPN anyway.
But
so
neither would Tor in that aspect either, though, if it's only a browser-based encryption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, you want to encrypt your connection,
You want to
your
do
hard
naughty
connection
stuff, get
to
a
your
VPN.
computer at the top, like from the LAN or whatever.
That's right. And it gets tricky when you do. So here's the problem with VPNs. And you can whitelist them and stuff like that, but the average consumer doesn't know how to do that. If I've got a VPN, say I turn it on in Firefox or Opera or whatever, and I'm looking up torrents or whatever I'm looking up, and then I go to my bank, right? And you log into your bank. Well, they're probably going to suspend your login because suddenly you've logged in from Scandinavia.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful when you're using a VPN. The banks, even things like Gmail, even a lot of the Foxtel Go accounts. There's a lot of accounts that you use online that if you use through a VPN, they'll flag it, and they'll either
Facebook.
Facebook.
You appear to be logging in from an unusual location.
It's frustrating,
system.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I've
Is this
had
really you?
LastPass pop up and say you're logging in from another country.
Yeah. So now we're in the zone of let's whitelist those applications so that they get a clean line to the internet. But doing that on your computer is an issue because now you've got holes in your computer that people can access.
That's right. You whitelist the VPN's bloody IP.
So now you need. This is if you're getting serious about it. You now need to have a modem or your network running through a router that can run Tomato or run a client that can have a VPN installed on it. But then you set the VPN, that throughput on the VPN, so that those Facebooks and whatever still don't hit. They don't go through the VPN; they go directly. But that way, it's not like your computer's protected by the router, which is protected by the VPN. So you've got a double level of step through to get to your PC. So then, if you run the VPN on that as well, you're getting multiple levels of security. But
then you can't watch Netflix anymore.
Well, and I was going to say the problem is now everything's that slow that you can't do anything with it because you're running through 2 VPNs.
Yeah.
So
and Netflix,
it's this whole thing about paranoid versus reality. Like how paranoid do you want to be?
Well, if you're not doing anything wrong.
Well, it depends.
What do you got to worry
Your
about?
ISPs,
But there is other people that are doing wrong things to you as well.
That's
so
right. But it's not only that. A lot of ISPs are tracking your data now for government
and sell it.
And that's the thing. Like they're either they're basically tracking it and they have to store it now. For I can't remember what it is. 6 months or something they have to store it for,
6 months.
and the government can basically request that data at any time. So regardless of whether you're doing something wrong or not, your data is held on a server that can be accessed by whoever requests it, whether it's the police, whether it's the government, whatever. There's a level of paranoia to it, but there's also a level of, well, hang on a minute.
Mate, you can go right through. You can change the name of your computer and your user account names, and there's so many much more things. I've heard of people, what's the Linux? Someone said that there's what's that Linux system that they're saying they don't want the kids to use because it might teach them how to hack.
That's all of them. But
all of them. Did you say? What's the main Linux one? I saw it was an article I read something.
I would have been
about
a Ubuntu or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those ones.
Ubuntu.
Not
parents should watch out for their kids using this particular Linux operating system because it probably means they're up to no good. That was what the article was saying. Can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but that's typical government not knowing what they're talking about. It's like in the day when they were going, oh, we're going to block that website because we're going to block that IP address because there's a website on it that we don't agree with, and so like half the internet goes down because they just block like an ISP or something. They're great. So I don't know. I mean, look. And the other thing is too, they've just passed. Well, I don't know if they've passed it or they're trying to pass. I know they've got it in the States. If you have encrypted data and they request a password to it, you must release that password. You know, and it's like, well, hang on. The whole point of having encrypted data, especially if it's client data, well, it's not even that, but especially if it's client data. Like if you're a, if you're a banker or a commodities trader, you've got the data is going to be all encrypted. You know, it's part of your job.
The whole point of it is to keep it private.
Yeah, by law, but you can't release that data to anybody, regardless of who they are. You know, that's your position. So how can they legally say, no, you must provide us with the password for that information so we can make sure that what's on there is what you say it is?
You remember some of these backup companies do that. They say, we encrypt your data and you have the passwords. Whatever you do, don't lose that password or you can't recover your data.
Yeah. Yep. It's, that's it. It's your data. It's yours to manage and yours to deal with.
Then they can ask you for the password if they want to.
And if you don't, give it to them, they'll lock you up.
Yep. Sounds fair.
Because you're not capable of. If you say, oh, I've lost the password or I don't remember it, they'll say that you're not capable of having that sort of responsibility, so we're going to lock you up. And if you say, no, I'm not giving it to you, they'll lock you up for basically not agreeing with them. So effectively, if you're asked by the feds to give the password over, you either go to prison or you go to prison for breaching contracts with major corporations. So, I mean,
it's no win.
It's just absolutely stupid. So
it's
but I mean, what's privacy?
Too many rules and regulations in this digital age we're in.
We're using Facebook, we're using Twitter, we're using Gmail, we're using all publicly held companies. Like their whole business structure is based around knowing as much as they can, so that they can get the information to sell to people. That's their entire purpose of existence. The fact that they happen to be a useful program behind that is just lucky.
That usefulness is questionable too.
Well, sometimes, yeah. But, this is the thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, I don't like when Facebook does this because I didn't say they could. Well, it doesn't matter. You're using their program. It's entirely up to them what they want to do with the information. It's in their terms and conditions. If you don't like what they're doing,
you agreed to the terms and conditions that you never read.
Yeah, that's right. It's like when Apple goes...
said, we're going to take your house when you die, but you agreed to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with Tesla. Everyone's carrying on about Tesla removing the ability of some of their cars to supercharge at supercharge stations if the car's been... involved in an accident or repaired by an unauthorized repairer for the safety of the vehicle and the charges, which I get. But everybody's up in arms about it, going, no, they're hacking into my car. No, they're not. You bought the vehicle. You own the vehicle. They own the software. They own the access to the software. That's part of the terms and conditions of buying the vehicle. They provide the service for it. They can do whatever they want. If they want to disable your car because you're not playing by their rules, they can. That's just how it works. It's no different than having a phone, whether it's an Android, whether it's an iPhone, whatever. They've all got terms of service. They've all got things saying when we update the software, deal with it.
It's almost all the service, isn't it? You could almost say, give me the phone for free because I'm using, you're providing the service that I can't use without your hardware.
That's right.
What happened when people had their thumbprint reader on their iPhones replaced by a third party and Apple disabled the phones? We can't guarantee that's safe anymore.
Yeah.
A thumbprint on the iPhone, you can't guarantee is safe.
No.
When the thumbprint reader broke and they took it to a third party person instead of Apple to get it repaired, and they repaired it with the third-party fingerprint
reader,
couldn't fix it. Apple disabled the phone.
Shivers.
Because they can't guarantee that this phone is safe anymore. So that's their terms and conditions. You have to follow it.
There was a news article I saw today. It was something about face recognition or something, that some company had lost the client list of all facial recognition. I can't remember the name of the company now, but it was a common facial recognition company that I thought Microsoft or someone used, and I thought the same thing. I thought,
Well, speaking of that, they said in China the facial recognition software wasn't working because everyone's wearing a face mask because of the virus. So they've had to rewrite the software, and now it can detect you even if you're wearing a mask or not.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
100%, they say.
Yeah, but I'm surprised though. China's got a habit of them wearing masks anyway. Like, that's not new.
No.
Yeah, I think SARS kind of turned them into that years ago, really. And
they've always done it. The culture is if you're sick, you wear a mask so you don't make other people sick.
Yeah. And people in Western countries go, oh, you're so sad that you don't want to catch what I'm getting. you're making things about me. And it's like, no, it's not about you because you might be sick. It's because that person is sick, so they're stopping spreading it.
Yeah,
They're not protecting themselves from you.
Or it's the, what are you wearing that freaking mask for, you idiot? You're going to be fine. What are you talking about? You're just paranoid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
It's that attitude that you get from all the friends and everything is why people don't wear them.
But it's the other way around. It's if you're sick, you wear it to protect the people from around you from getting sick.
Yeah. Well, I would.
You know? But
Yeah.
people don't.
Well, that's why when you get sick, you shouldn't be going to work.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
Have you seen the vendors
You
over
should
in
just
China?
do podcasts where you can't affect anybody from that deep,
I was
dark
in the
and
same room.
dark and dingy basement that you sit in. You
I don't know. If
by
anybody
yourself.
comes to this microphone for the next 3 months, they're going to be in trouble, I'll tell you.
You're not getting well ever again, son. You're going to perpetuate it with that microphone.
In China, there's been reports of vendors going around the bins of an afternoon and collecting all the face masks, and they wash them out overnight and they resell them the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw as well. Amazon cracked it and said if anybody puts their prices up on their face masks, they're going to boot them.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like $168 for a small pack.
Yeah, but I mean
because they're cashing in on it.
But I mean, and that's one thing that they all do. Like in Australia, when they had the bushfires, you're buying 6, 300ml bottles of water for $24.
Yeah, how bad was that?
And it's like, it's just,
you couldn't buy water in Coles because someone is reselling it.
Yeah, or the Chinese love or go and buy all the baby food so that we can't.
Yeah,
because Woolworths clearly take note of their maximum 2 per person policy.
Yeah.
Well, you see all these whiz-bang masks, like leather ones and shiny ones, all these really expensive ones that come up that people have
leather ones. I'm not sure what places you hang out in,
mask,
Jordan.
Well, usually they sell them to people with brick dungeons.
It's got a zip at the front, right?
I saw someone on Facebook. It's like, I don't know. And then another article. I'll tell you, I've read a lot of news today. Then another article of Facebook's banning all those ads now.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because there's so much going on.
Because it's causing hysteria. They're banning all the masks.
Which is your favourite, Mr. T? That one with the spikes?
I'm quite a fan of that one.
What about the dog? Yeah.
Whichever one will match his brickwork.
What gimp suit is your favourite?
Now you got to be careful what you bring up there. YouTube will kick your video off again.
Yeah, good luck to it. Nobody watches it.
Mr. T's already worried about.
That's the wrong button.
I think we've hit an hour.
We've actually been going. We're over. Surprise, surprise, we're overtime. Who would have thought that never happened?
How much are we overtime this time?
Must be Jordan's fault. Only 10 minutes.
Be like 20 minutes.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
did we get all the story? Well, we might not have sounded like we read a lot of stories, but there was a few stories I threw in there that we discussed on.
Like there's a lot of talking.
We'll definitely discuss it by
we
the stories.
We talked about the Facebook one, and we talked about the masks and viruses, and it's all there.
And gimp suits, yeah.
One thing I would like to say, because I do, and I'm quite a fan of their products, is Xiaomi Mi or the Mi 10 has just been launched.
Whoa.
They're saying it's not as cheap as you think, but I mean they're talking it's like $600. Basically, it's a little more than that. It's $1,000 for the top of the range one, which is a 12 gig and 256 gig storage. So basically, as usual, big 5,000 amp hour battery, 30 watt wireless charger, and they got a 10 watt reverse charge as well, so you can hold up to somebody else's phone and charge them.
It's cool.
Quad cameras, 108 meg main with a 30 meg ultra wide, 2 meg macro, 2 meg depth of field, 20 meg front. The Snapdragon 865, Arduino 650 GPU, Adreno as opposed to Arduino. 6.6 gig screen. So yeah.
Is that made in China, the Xiaomi? I think it is.
It is.
It's like my son today, he was trying to buy the grip things for the scooters.
Yeah.
The grip pad to stick on. He's like, it's from China, Dad. Well, is it all right to get it from China? Or will it come with coronavirus?
Yeah, pretty much.
You have to pay extra for that.
This is something a lot of people don't realise, that we're not by the, this country.
I said you probably won't even get it.
No, you won't. We've got containers sitting on docks waiting to come in, and this country is going to be in a lot of trouble very quickly. There's almost no manufacturing in this country, and what is manufactured here is manufactured by imported materials. So, being in the battery industry, we're seeing it already. We're starting to have trouble getting supplies on certain batteries, and that's only going to get worse and worse. A lot of the guys I deal with in a lot of other industries, there's fence guys and gate guys and shed guys, all sorts of stuff, and they're
It's
all
pretty
having massive
bad.
problems. So,
Price is going to go up.
well, prices won't go up. There just won't be.
You won't get the stock.
That's the thing.
Prices might go up on what you've got left.
Maybe, but not really, because I think a lot of the stuff, like some stuff I ordered like 2 days ago, I went to reorder again today and they're out of stock. Like there wasn't a shortage 2 days ago and now there is. You know, so you don't even have time to put the prices up. The stock's just gone before you even notice it's missing. You know, so it's.
Well, you think how long China's been in quarantine now? I mean, you see the pictures on the internet of there's nobody in the streets, no one's going to work.
No.
No
All
one's.
the kids are doing school over Skype.
Yeah, well,
like it's pretty full on.
One of our major manufacturers that we use, they're actually in Wuhan or whatever it is. They're just down the road from the lab. They were evacuated the day of the scare. They've been out since. They were told that they could go back. Limited staff could go back. Start of the month. So next month. So that's been 3 months that nobody's been there.
Yep.
So and the production, they're basically saying because we're only a smaller company and we're only ordering a small amount of stock, we're not going to see our stock for 3 months. So we're not going to have anything till the middle of the year by the time you include shipping it over and on a container and all that sort of stuff. You know, so it's going to be 4 or 5 months before we see stock. You know, so yeah, it's
Don't
it's not
let your
good.
car break down.
People don't realise. People is completely.
No, you don't realise how much stuff is imported from China in Australia.
No. You look on eBay now. You try and find a product on eBay now. There's 2 choices.
But even if you buy a product in eBay from Australia, generally it's still being made in China and imported.
A lot of them were, but a lot of those have actually stopped now. You see that the amount of ones that were being drop shipped have greatly reduced because they've run out of stock. So that's only legitimately Australian suppliers now for the most part. Amazon's exactly the same. I was looking on Amazon the other day at products and like 90% of the selections just disappeared because they know that they can't deliver. And so or some of them you'll see, this person's on holiday until April, 30th of April or whatever. You're like, sure you are.
What did someone say to me the other day? What was it on Facebook? I suppose Facebook's stopping their coronavirus ads now, but it was like, be careful when you're popping the poppers on the packaging, the plastic air bubbles, because you know that the air bubbles have probably come from China.
That's it.
They did that on The Simpsons.
China Air.
Is that what it was?
The Simpsons did it first.
I didn't see The Simpsons, but that must be.
There was an episode from years ago where Homer bought something from China and this guy had a cold and he coughed into the box before he closed it, and then it got posted over to America and Homer opens it up and everyone gets infected.
Oh, well, that can't really happen anyway.
But that's from like 20 years ago. So
yeah. Well, Simpsons has always been ahead of its time, hasn't it?
Pretty much. Although they're not doing a poo anymore. They decided that he's too racially profiled or something.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Fair income?
Yep.
Because the guy who's doing his voice was an Indian, so
yeah.
Harry Shearer's not Indian, so he can't do
it. They basically said, "Oh no, that's being racist. You can't do that character anymore."
The Indian people were okay with it.
Yeah, they're okay with it. It's the white people.
The white people who were pissed off for the Indians who didn't give a shit about it.
Yeah. Anyway.
He's gone mad.
They probably don't care at all. No. But
no,
they love him.
It's not Ken Bruce that's gone mad. I think the whole world's gone mad.
Like the Australian show Love Thy Neighbour, where they had the white guy and the black guy always calling each other names and stuff like that. And a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, is Aboriginal. She said she loved it. Wish they could play it now, but they won't put it on TV because it's too politically incorrect.
Yeah.
People, it's really bad for Aboriginal
I'm
people.
surprised they still play Crocodile Dundee, to be honest.
Please put it on. Yeah.
All right. Well, we've ranted long enough.
Yeah, thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads show. Broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Email is Glenn Warlock, Will, and Jordan at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com. 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows, and this one from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows are added each Friday. See you around.
See you guys.
See you around.
Bye.